Today we're going to be working on some towel duos, a little bit different than my normal projects. No wool on this one, just some lovely little towels that have some embroidery on them. Let's get started. These towel duos are designed with one embroidery. One towel is a solid white or off-white towel with the embroidery on it, and then the second towel is a printed coordinating towel. Okay, it looks like I need to adjust. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to set aside our printed towel, and we're doing these with embroidery floss rather than with the pearl cotton. Let's lay it out so it's got one layer, and because it is something that's designed to be washable, we can go ahead and use the stick and stitch for our pattern. So I'm going to start with the stems, and the stems are going to be this lighter green. So remember, when you're pulling on floss, there will be two ends. One of them will be where that one was. Let me pull up a new one. One of them will be sticking out like this, and the other one is usually down here at the other end, hidden. Don't pull on that one. Always pull on this one. And so when I cut it off after I have a length pulled that I want to work with, I always cut it leaving a piece sticking out so I know where to come back to next time. And we want two strands. It's easier to separate your strands if you go down from the end just a little bit. They'll twist a little bit less as you are taking them apart. Wow, I got a long one this time. Usually try to pull 1 yard out, unless I know that the project I'm working on will take less than a yard. But this one feels like I got carried away. Okay. All right, as far as needles go, we're going to want one of our smaller needles for these. For embroidery needles, again, I like to use the chenille needles because I feel like the chenille needles have a nice big eye that's not difficult for me to thread. But these are the smaller ones, so this is a chenille 24. And the stitch that we are going to do is the stem stitch. Stem stitch works best, but also these are a little bit tricky because since the back side will be visible and not hidden, I want no knots, and I'm going to weave in the ends. This looks like I've trapped a hair in there, or I've scribbled accidentally. So let's start on this one right here for the stem stitch, but we're going to leave on the back of it. I just leave a couple of inches, 2 or 3. Sometimes that feels like a waste, but I don't ever go through all of the floss, so it works out. Just leave it hanging there, and we'll come back to it later. Okay, stitch and back. These are straight stitches, so they can be a little bit longer than you might need for a curved stitch. And I'm just going to stitch all of these stems. Keep your tension pulled snug enough that it doesn't leave loops. You don't want things that will catch. So these are something I added to our store, or to our collection, because I had customers that were asking for them. They like the embroidered dish towels with more modern designs on them. One of my first embroidery ventures was actually a pillowcase, but after that it was dish towels. Okay, I'm going to turn around and go back down the branches that are down here. So I'm going to go down at the tip and go over to the next one. This time, because I'm going the opposite way, I'm going to flip my spot around. You'll notice that I am not using a hoop on this. Oh, I think I see the problem. There we go. Now we can see what we're doing. Okay, you'll notice I'm not using a hoop on this because that stick and stitch gives it enough structure that I don't have to worry about it. I almost never use a hoop. I like to just be able to pull the tension to what it needs to be and not battle with a hoop, not worry about hoop lines, not worry about if it's staying tight enough, if I can see the whole thing inside of my hoop. All right, we'll go down to the end of this one. And then remember, we're not doing knots, so we have to bury our thread on the back or just use the stitches that have been stitched to get us back to the next starting spot. And we'll come back and weave this one in when we get done. I usually use the same needle, so next time that needle's empty, I'll go back and weave it. So I'm just going to go under about every stitch if they're this big, or every other. Remember that when it washes, you're not going to want a lot of mess back here. You're going to want it to be as smooth as possible. So let's go in every stitch back up to where we can do the next set. And that will take me to right here, and I'm pretty sure that is about, yeah, where I need to come out to do the third stem that's down there. Now, when you're looking at this thread, and it looks like my printing is a darker green than this, or a different shade of green, that is because I am careful on the computer to choose a color that will show up for you. It doesn't mean that it's the color of floss that you're going to be using, because especially where there's white, I will use a gray color. But I try to stick with a color that's close, just so you know. And you could do the leaves and the flower, or in the stems on this one, in the same color, but I feel like it doesn't quite say spring as much to me, so I'm going ahead and doing the stems in a lighter green and the leaves in a darker green. Okay, and as I do this, it would be great fun to do the pink or the purple or even the yellow next, but it helps to have a place to wind your thread. Like this first one, we didn't have a place to wind, but it helps to have a place to wind your thread after that. So when I'm stitching, I'm strategically choosing to go from a place that's stitched to a place that's not, so that I can restart my threads. Let's wind this one back up. You can see that these go together pretty quickly. The stem stitch does not take too long. All right, I think we're ready to, I'm just going to poke it through, not that that's where I'll come out, but that will hold my needle in place. Let's do this tall one right up the middle. This one I feel like is a soothing, work on in the evening, because there aren't complicated stitches on the dish towels. Stem stitches, detached chain stitches, and a few French knots. Just not a lot of stitches. And stem stitches, like we're doing on all the stems on this, is just a relaxing thing that you can work on at night when your brain is already spent on all the things you did during the day. Okay, you can see that my thread here is getting a little curled, so I'm going to raise it up and let it hang to untwist it. Again, you could use more strands on this, but I feel like 2 is the perfect amount to give us fullness without making it so that our images can still stay clear. The exception to that is sometimes when I'm doing these flowers, I'll want it to be 3 just so it's a little bit more full. Okay, when we get up to the top on this one, we'll have to decide. You'll notice that there's little fly stitches at the base here, whether I would do those with the dark green or whether I would do those with this stem color. And I think I'm tempted to do them with the stem color, but I'm going to do them on my way back down. So what I'm looking for, now these are really nice towels. They're Dunroven brand towels. So they don't, let me lay a thread over this way so that you can see. They don't show through very much to see threads where you've jumped from spot to spot on the back. So if you can keep your jumping to a minimum, it will look nice on this towel. It's not a thin flour sack towel where your jumping would be as noticeable. I really like the Dunroven brand. They're very durable and very nice quality. So all of the towels in our towel duos are Dunroven towels. And they have some really cute towels to go with our designs. These work great as you can buy it for you. You can buy it for you and make it as a gift for someone. Or you can give them the towel duo that they get to embroider. It comes with the floss. It does not come with a needle. They would still need their needle. I don't know. I may decide to include some needles in them. I'll look into that. So read the description and see what I decided to do on that. All right, we are getting almost up here to the tip. Remember, with a stem stitch, you have to go down. Take your last stitch, but now that one only has 1 thickness, so we go down there, and we're headed back down to this one. So let's go down, winding a couple of. We're going to hope we don't run out before the end of this. Okay, do we need to go one more? We need to be to right there. I think that's it. Okay, so that is a little jump right there to go over to our little, so I could do these as a fly stitch, but I don't really want to cover my stem. So I'm just going to do them as 2 little straight stitches. That way they'll hide behind the stem. Okay, and I'm just going to mark where the next one is so that when I turn it over, I know how many more. It looks like I need to under 1, 2, 3, and then I can do the next one. 1, 2, 3. And now let's find our next little spot out here. There we go. Yeah, I think it will be fun to have the lavender in this one, having a different color leaf. Right now in my front yard there are millions, I'm sure it's millions. We moved in last fall and had not had a chance yet to do our landscaping. In fact, we're waiting on a few things to be able to do it. There's 1, 2, 3. So to avoid being a dust bowl, we have just let whatever wanted to grow. And I don't know what it is, but it has tiny little purple flowers on it. And it has a little bit of a sweet smell to it. But yeah, it's overwhelming my yard. So I have lots of purple right now. In theory, the first guys to work on the landscaping are putting in the pool, and that's supposed to go in as soon as they can get the approval. Okay, right down here. But we switched when we do our loans and things, it doesn't work to do it in the trust, so it has to be in our names. But then once we get it set up, we can put it back in the trust. So we just did bad timing, didn't realize that that would even be a problem, and we put it in the trust between when they applied for the permit to do the pool and the approval. So then they're making them go back and redo it with our trust as the name rather than us. So it seems silly since our trust's name is us, but okay. We're going to stop there because, well, we could go back down and try to start up another one, but we'll run out. So how many times do you need to go under it to secure it? A lot of that depends on how much wear and tear, and if you plan on it lasting 20 years until it's dirty enough you can't get it clean, or if you plan on it a project that's going to last for a lot longer than that. I read somewhere that you need to go 1.5 to 2 inches underneath everything. I don't usually go that long. Now, there are some projects that I do where I will go longer, but I usually try to stick with about 1 inch so that it's less likely to unwind. I don't plan on these getting, well, that's not true. They're going to hang and be pretty, but that does not mean in the house with boys that I live in that they're not going to dry their hands on it. So it will get used. Let's go up this one. Now see how as soon as my needle was empty, I go back and do the first one. But generally, I don't have to do another one. I'll just start wherever I have stitches already and wind and secure my thread before I start. All right, let's go back up to that one. Oops, we ran out of thread. I think that's far enough. We unthreaded our needle. Okay, so that is our first thread that we did on it. Let's do some planning on this one. So we have a couple different options. We can wind our thread here, go up this one and come back, wind it back down, go up this one and come back down. Our other option is to start up here, come down and go up, but then we will have to go back and wind that one. But I think that still might be a smarter use because going up and then coming all the way back down is going to use a lot of thread for that. Not that I think we need to preserve a lot of thread, but some of it's timing too of how long I want it to take. Okay, we need to separate this strand of 4 into 2 and 2. Again, it is less knots if you do it a little ways down from the end of your thread. I don't know why. I've just discovered that as I have separated threads for punch needle, when I'm separating an entire strand or entire skein at a time, that it works. There are less twists and less knots if you'll start just at least 1 inch down. This is a very fine needle, so I'm going to go ahead and use my needle threader. Because remember, licking it, which is my favorite method, is not good for keeping long-term things. All right, so let's start on the habit. Let's start over here by the pink one, on the long pink one, and go down. So stem stitch starts on the end, and I like to stem stitch towards the right. Now when I pull it through, I need to leave that 3-ish inches, 2 to 3 inches, so that I can wind that through later. So I'll just use my finger on the back to kind of hold that in place. Back to the beginning. Okay, and down we go. Now, this is not the first of these dish towels that I have done, and they have little bouquets on several of them. And most of the time what I have done is gone down the stitches here and then started back up again. It's just this one uniquely, the way that the branches are on it, seems like it makes more sense to start again. Now right here, I'm going to come down here because I want that little stem to be the same color, and I don't want to come back just for that. Okay, same thing for this little one on the other side. Let's go up on that one. I want the stems to match the stems and the leaves to match the leaves. However, for this little French knot here, I'm going to go ahead and have him be a leaf color. Okay, let's get back to where we need to be. You can see I've got one little travel right there, but not too bad. We'll come out right here and keep going. That little branches happens right over here and right here also. Okay, some point you'll get a little bit used to how much thread you have left and how far it's going to go, and that helps you decide where and what you want to do next. I think that this thread is going to do more than just come down and do these little branches, but we will, that's probably where I'll cut it off anyway. Usually I use to the end of the thread. In fact, I'm kind of a stickler about thread chicken and using down to the end. But this is one of those exceptions because I don't want too many starts and stops. So if I've only got 10 to 12 inches left here, I'm not going to do a few inches, and because 10 inches won't give us that much with edges to weave in, and then do another one. I will probably just put that 10 inches back on my spool and start again with a full length. Okay, and we'll go in right there, head back up. Let's see, let's look at how long it is. I'll bet we could go all the way up to the top of this one, so let's go over and do that one. Yeah, I think we've got enough to make it to the top of that one. And I don't know if you've noticed that my thread is starting to twist. When I put it down like this, it kind of rolls up, so that means it's time to let it hang again. These are so fun that I cannot wait to see them done. So when I start one, I usually, rather than just my first little stitching of the day, I usually don't put it down till I get it done. There are 6 of them, and this will make number 3 done, but number 4 is really close. It just needs a little bit more on it, and then I'll just have the 2 more to go. I've been really thrilled with how they are turning out. I have the Christmas one done. I have the summer one done. This is a spring one. Well, wait, there's an everyday one that I don't have done yet, and a fall one that I don't have done yet. I'm in the middle of Valentine's. Christmas is done. Yeah, that's it. So fall is left, and the everyday one. Okay, Okay, oh, I went past that little stem. Well, we will go back down to it then. Or I will do it in the other green. Let's see. I think I'm going to go back to it. It's not that many stitches back. And that weaving in the end is complicated. So, I mean, I can make a mess of the back of it. So I don't really want to have to come back for one tiny stitch. All right, we got it to end our stem stitch. We come down at the end and then we can do that little stitch. And then start our stem stitch again. There we go, that's a better choice. I don't often unstitch or unpick as I'm going once I've decided what stitch I want to use. My start and stops are typically, or my unpicking is typically when I'm making a decision. So it's at the beginning. Sometimes it's sometimes I don't unpick because I do it on a sample thread or a sample piece of wool so I can see what it is that I plan on doing. Let's see, you can see it's marked a little bit up here. I'm going to go ahead and do that last stitch. There we go. Then we will wind back down to where those stems are. That's right here. Looks like it'll be, yep, 4 stitches down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's stick our needle in where we are so that we can determine, yeah, that's what we're going to do. These are a little bit longer. I probably could get by with 1 stitch, but I'm going to go ahead and stem stitch it 2 stitches. Gives it a little bit more thickness where it is. Stem stitches are thicker than just straight stitches, so okay, let's go back down. Come out on the other side. Yep, that is where we want to be. Yeah, that one's only long enough for 1, but because the other one is thick, I'm going to do it twice just to give me 2 thicknesses. All right, now we need to, we can take this thread back down and see what's left if we want. Maybe there is enough to go up the other side. It would have to come back down to here. We could try going up and doing the short version there. Let's try that. Again, I'm just trying to make a good use of the back side so that I don't have a mess back here. I have as few of transitions and tucking as I can. That is my compressor, air compressor for the laser. It is always plugged in, even when I'm not using the laser. Because of its location, I can't get back there. I have it tucked in and I can't get back there to get to it, to unplug it. And when I'm not using the laser, it doesn't turn on that often. Let's see, do we want to go up the long one? Yeah, let's go up the long one. We're going to run out and have to come back and do a little one for that guy, but I'll show you how to be efficient in doing that. This one will give us just enough to make it to the tip. Now you have to remember Like thread chicken wise, you'd be thinking, I got quite a ways to go, but remember you've got to have that enough to wind it in the back for that inch, which is about what we're going to have here. Okay, we're going to take it down right there. Wind that one in. All right, look at that. It gave us a good inch of winding there, with just a little bit left. That was excellent thread chicken. Thread chicken is when you are trying to see if you run out of thread first or if you make it to the end of the line first. And you have to have enough to tie it when you get to the back. All right, we are going to do this last little bit here for today, so that we have all the stems done, and so that next time that we work on this, we're working on the flowers. Well, we'll start with the leaves and then the flowers and the bow on the bottom. Okay, it is a habit for me to tie a knot. Knots are not what we want, but we have this section right here that we could weave through. I'm going to go the same direction so I don't take that one out. We're going to come all the way down. Now I leave that little tail on there, see that one right there, until I'm done with the weaving on the back, and then I trim my tails close so that they don't show. Okay, that's how I typically would start a new thread, not with a tail hanging here, and I forgot when my needle was empty to do that one. So let's go up this one. We're going to go ahead and head up this way. It doesn't matter right here which way we go, because the pathway or the result would be the same. Up to the end, go down at the end, and weave far enough back to go the opposite direction. I think it'll be 3 stitches on this one. 1, 2. How am I getting over there where you can't see me? My camera is recording it upside down. Like my hands are the opposite way, but I'll flip it around. Oh, my head! Oh well, it will be fine. I'm like, we can't flip my head upside down. That won't work. All right, now let's go the rest of the way up on this one. So as you can see, we're getting close to half an hour-ish of stitching on this. I think most of these can be done in, or half hour. Most of these can be done in an hour to an hour and a half. They are not a long project. They're a long evening or 2 evenings of stitching to finish them up. They're fun. All right, let's weave that back down all the way. It's backwards, left and right. There we go. Let me move me. And we're just going to do that one last little branch over there. So we'll weave our way down to it. And then if I remember correctly, it is a ways up on that one. Yeah, we got to get to right there. That looks like about 2 stitches up on that far one. So let's go under these little bridges here. No knots allowed. Okay, it didn't listen. I said no knots allowed. So I got to figure out which side. These kind of knots in your thread will pull through if you pull from the right side, and will become super knots if you don't. So it's not the direction you're pulling, it's the direction it came from. You can usually slide them off that if you pull the direction you came from. There we go. They'll disappear, but if you pull the wrong direction, then you're out of luck. Okay, I think it was about, let's see what a couple of stitches up looks like. Is that close? Oh, yep, that's perfect. We need to go back just a tiny. Okay, let's finish this last little stem here. And we'll take it to the back, finish off our thread. Okay, we need to get about 1 inch, and that really is only a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to keep going down here, and then since this one hasn't been wound on it before, I'll jump over to that one and we'll put a few stitches in that. Mind you, we're going to be adding more as we do the leaves. They'll be winding up these as well. Okay, now that should give me 1 inch, so I'm going to go ahead and trim it off. And I need to wind in my tail up here that we never wound in. Two, three. One of the things that I notice when I'm doing this is that I will wear really thin right here, because I'm poking that through where it is the actual pinpoint of the needle. So most often when I'm doing towels like this, I end up supporting that spot on my finger. I like these thimble dots. They come in a package that has like 12 of them. You can see I've used that one, and I've used that one on a red thread, and so I don't want to use that one again. So I'm going to go ahead and peel another one off here. They are reusable. You can use them again. And I like the fact that they just cover that spot, so I don't have to worry about that. All right. I'll turn it the other way, since that's what my camera is loving at this point. Well, nope, because that's not me away. Okay, let's pull it together, slide it a little bit that way, and grab our original towel that goes with it. It looks yellow in the video. It's not yellow, it's white. Okay, we'll see you next time to work on this again. Thanks for joining me today.